TG Geeks, episode 248, November 18th, 2019. A charity masked ball with a twist. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery, sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre. You name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely Phoenix, Arizona.
And I'm Ben Raggington, feeling very red and indifferent. There's a joke behind that. I will explain later. Here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we are going to talk to director and writer Scott Ramsey about a film that he has done. We're going to have our birthday shout-outs, a featured podcast of the week, and a little bit of feedback and some shout-outs. And in our second segment, we're going to talk about something that we did just last night, which was Saturday night of this weekend, and that should be very interesting. And then we'll have our weekly recap and our regular shout-outs. So let's get on with talking to Scott right now. And we welcome to the microphone Mr. Scott J. Ramsey, who is the co-writer and director of the new film X. Welcome, Scott, to our show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk to you guys. And I just have to quickly say, I just listened to the Gretchen Wilder episode.
Oh, God.
In the hotel lobby of the event I'm at, and it's spectacular, and I'm a new fan of the podcast. I can't wait to listen to it.
Isn't she wonderful? I love, we were talking, we did that interview quite some time ago and released it this week, and the term queerdo. It's like, I have to take that.
Yeah, we need to
It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So tell us who Scott J. Ramsey is. You said you were attached to the J in your name. So tell us who Scott J. Ramsey is, and how did you get into making films?
Sure. So I started storytelling, I want to say, like November of 1991, which is about around the time, I'm bad at math, but about around the time I was conceived. I was born in June 92. And I've just, my whole life been a storyteller and an artist. And it kind of wasn't about the medium per se. I'm not an expert craftsperson in any specific medium. But I think what drew me to filmmaking was that it's all of the arts. It's storytelling, it's theater, it's photography, it's collage, it's fashion, it's all of the arts, creating a symphony of emotions, and that just always was incredibly appealing to me. And I started, literally when I was 4, before I could physically pick up a pen and write stuff down, I would dictate
last week
to my grandma.
Oh, stop.
Sorry.
He said he was born in 92.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, was that last week when you were 4?
He said he was born in 92.
Oh, dang it.
Yes. It was, I guess, for 23, I'm so bad at math, 23 years ago when I was 4.
Wow. We have been together for 23 years.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah. Perfect. I was 3 years into my filmmaking career.
There you go.
Now I feel ancient. Moving right along.
Anyway.
Right.
So you were... I agree with you about the filmmaking process, because film is a wonderful medium for telling stories. I mean, and depending on what you do with it, I happen to be a fan of black and white film photography, but I also love black and white film moving pictures. So it's just I like it all. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just I grew up in the Bay Area, and then I moved to LA about 2 years ago, right after we had finished shooting X, and I don't know, I mean, honestly, it's kind of boring to say, but like, this is my whole life. I don't really have a whole lot for me other than being a filmmaker and an artist.
Cool. Okay. I have to ask one quick question, because you said you grew up in the Bay Area.
For sure.
Where in the Bay Area?
I grew up in San Ramon, which is a
Dude, I
suburb.
lived in Livermore.
That's where he
grew
really?
Up. Oh, that's amazing.
I grew up in
One
Livermore.
of my best friends grew up in Livermore.
Yeah, that's where I'm. I moved from Livermore to Phoenix.
Oh, that's awesome. That's terrific.
So
and then I went to school at SF State.
Okay, yeah, one of my best friends actually went to school at San Francisco State. Yeah, well, it's a good school for filmmakers.
Absolutely,
At least for the Bay
it's
Area.
A wonderful school. Yeah, it's a wonderful school. It's a wonderful school for film theory, especially.
Yeah. So that's nice to meet a fellow Bay Area person.
And we were just there
and
2 weeks ago. So
yeah, we were just there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the crew of our movie X went to SF State. A lot of us met via a cinema fraternity, a co-ed cinema fraternity at SF State called DKA. Delta Kappa Alpha. And that's how I met two of the producers of the movie and also the lead actor.
Oh, cool.
Nice. Now, you said you made the move to L.A. After you worked on X. What prompted that move?
Well, a lot of my friends moved to L.A., and it just seemed like it was the place to be. I don't really have like a rational career reason for it, but I kind of just wanted to do the L.A. thing and experience what it was like living in close proximity to the center, like, hub of the industry. But I mean, honestly, like, this probably goes without saying, but I'm a firm believer, like, you absolutely don't have to move to LA to become a filmmaker, because I mean, like, as it goes, we made our movie like in the Bay Area and like had nothing to do with the LA industry before we got started. So
yeah, and especially if you decide to branch out into the independent film market, I mean, you could go and make a movie anywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, just a couple of years ago,
Absolutely.
or a year or so ago, we saw an amazing comedy that was filmed all in Arizona. I've been corresponding with another filmmaker who lives in who does beautiful independent LGBTQ films, and he lives in northern Arizona. So yeah, you can be a filmmaker
cool.
and live anywhere. But I get the excitement about the vibe of Los Angeles.
Yeah,
I mean, we go down there a lot.
yeah, exactly.
it's just easier sometimes resource-wise and connection-wise and whatnot to be in LA, or at least have, a connection to Los Angeles. So I do understand that, but you can make films anywhere.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just the culture down here is so like stooped into filmmaking. So I think that is a real benefit. But I mean, I don't regret living here at all, but I definitely don't think it's like a requirement at all.
Right. So let's talk about X now, so that we don't get anything wrong. Please, can you give us like the elevator pitch?
Yeah, tell us about this film.
Absolutely. So X is about a young woman who hosts masked charity balls at her beach house, and the balls double as sex parties.
Aha.
And that is the hook about how they raise money for the charity. And little do her guests know that she has a hidden camera in the bathroom and is getting off for watching all of them when they're in the bathroom.
Oh, voyeurism. Well, as I always said, as you get older, the one thing that we all have to look forward to is voyeurism.
Exactly.
Exactly. And it's kind of like a queer feminist twist on the like Hitchcockian tragedy of the voyeur.
Right.
Nice. And I like the idea that you're doing a feminist twist. Why did you decide to go down that road? I mean, I'm not condemning it. I think it's a great idea. And, it's nice that you're doing it. What prompted you to give it that element?
Well, actually, when I had the original story idea, the lead character was male. And just when I was thinking about it and then talking to Hannah, the co-writer, we decided it made a lot more sense for it to be a woman for a few reasons. First of all, like, the voyeur as a male is like a story that's been done so many times, as a cis straight guy especially. Someone who's like kind of they're dangerous, and they are psychologically fascinating, and they're often portrayed as pathetic and sympathetic at the same time, even though they're like doing something terrible. So we thought it would be a lot more interesting to tell the story with this queer feminist lens, because it's just that way of telling the story has never been done before. And I don't know. I also just I think this might sound weird, but I think because we're so used to thinking about straight cis men as kind of like sexually, not only sexually
deviants?
Empowered, but also more likely to do horrible things and to be a voyeur and to be a sexual predator, it forces us to identify with the lead character more and to actually think about her psychologically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting.
Nice touch.
That's fascinating. So, this film is set to premiere in San Francisco, correct? Is this the world premiere of it?
It is. It's not the world premiere. We've screened in Manchester, UK, and Milan, Italy, and Palm Springs, but this is the San Francisco premiere, certainly, and it is on December 3rd, and I'm so excited because the festival it's at, Another Hole in the Head, is really perfect for X. It's got a mishmash of genre films and midnight movies, and X is not necessarily a midnight movie, but it definitely has that vibe. So I'm really excited. I think it's the perfect venue to see it.
Cool. So that's December 3rd at the whole. Which theater did you say? I'm sorry.
It's at the New People Cinema in San Francisco, and it's part of the Another Hole in the Head Film Festival.
What kind of film festival is that? That sounds far out.
Like we need another hole in the head.
Films and midnight films and genre films and
a lot of cult movies.
Just
it sounds
kind of
like
weird stuff. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
That far out.
So, what is next for Scott J. Ramsey after this film? Obviously, you're going to hit the festival circuit a little bit more, but do you have plans of making another film, or do you have anything in the works?
So my writing partner Hannah and I, who wrote X, we're very far along with a script for another feature film that we're hoping to launch very soon. But on top of that, part of our goal with X was to kind of create an immersive story world that was beyond just the movie. So we actually made 3 music videos to 3 songs from the movie's score.
Oh, nice.
So the 3 things are kind of like storytelling on 3 different levels: the movie, the music, and the music videos. So we're hoping to continue that model moving forward with our next movie also. Kevin, who's one of the producers of the movie and one of the composers of the score, he and I have a music duo called the Major Arcana that made 3 of the songs for X, and we just recorded an album that we're going to put out next year also.
Really? Interesting.
Really? So, now you really have. Yeah. Now you've got my interest.
Well, the name of the band, we have a friend, an author friend, whose urban fantasy novels, he's getting ready to release the second novel, but his novels are based on the Major Arcana of the tarot deck, and the first one is the Last Sun, and then he's doing The Hanged Man as the second book, and it's being released.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
and so each one of those represents a house of, people, shall we say, and
a throne,
and it's a very interesting thing. So you kind of piqued my attention when you said the name of the band. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, terrific!
Yeah.
The names of each of the songs on the soundtrack for our movie X are cards in a deck of cards, like in either minor arcana or traditional playing cards. So it's like Ace, 2, 3, all the way through Queen, King. And then the Major Arcana's album will be more directly based on actual tarot deck.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. And that, when is that due?
It's coming out next year. We don't have an exact date, but it's for sure coming out next year in the top half of the year.
Okay, cool.
So when it comes to being a movie maker, I mean, this is an interesting one to to kind of get your start on by going something that's in the thriller horror of a Hitchcock nature. Do you feel that's sort of like in your wheelhouse? I mean, is that the kind of stories you like to tell? And when I say that, I'm not casting any kind of aspersions, because I love those kind of movies. But is
right.
that the direction you feel yourself really going to at this present time?
Well, truthfully, I mean, I think it's just kind of what the story called for. I'm really a firm believer that everything comes down to the characters in the story. Mm-hmm. Every stylistic choice, every editing choice, every music choice, even things that you choose in the budget. If you can only afford something, you choose the thing that makes the most sense for the character more than what's going to look cool or sound cool or whatever. So I think the genre just made sense with the story we were trying to tell. And I think that I just kind of come up with screwed up, dark ideas like that. So I think that's kind of where it came from. It wasn't really a conscious decision like, ooh, I want to make a thriller or a Hitchcockian movie. It's kind of just that's in our DNA as the creators of the project.
Well, that's cool. You have to let the characters and the story go where it will. If you try to force it, then you face all kinds of problems.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm a firm believer in the story needs to, whether it's on print or if it's on celluloid, it needs to be able to evolve. Or digital. Yeah, I know.
But he probably doesn't know what celluloid means.
Don't get off my front lawn, you kid. I want my film back.
No, I have to tell you, we shot a sequence of X on Super 8 film, and one of the music videos we shot both on 16 millimeter and Super 8 film.
Oh wow!
So we are familiar with working with celluloid.
I'm back in the Super 8 days. My stepdad had a Super 8 camera, and oh my god. It was incredible.
Yeah, film is terrifying because in film school, I mean, half of film school working with a film camera is them terrifying you into how it's not going to work, it's not going to turn out, you're going to expose the film accidentally, it's going to be terrible. But then our cinematographer, his name is Chantel, is so, she's such a pro and she's so graceful, and she literally, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but on our feature, she shot the whole movie holding this red camera. Like, she was the camera op in addition to the DP. Anyway, to get back focused to what I was saying, I completely trusted her with working with film because she's just so good at what she does. And she's she could shoot something beautiful out of a paper bag.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, obviously, yeah. I can see a certain convenience to shooting digitally. I mean, it's so easy to take a look and say, that's crap, and then go back and do something else, and there really isn't a major cost in, as opposed to like working with film. It's like, well, that's going to be scrapped, so now, but
that's true. That's true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, well, but at the same time, however, I know, granted, once again, I'm showing my age here, but there's something really to be said about there's a lushness to film. We were at a horror film festival. It was actually the very first horror film festival we ever went to. And everything that was being screened was digital, but the programmer managed to get a 35 millimeter print of a horror film called Cemetery Man. And oh my God, was it beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's something really interesting to be said about seeing something that was done on some kind of film. I think digital captures everything in the spectrum. But I think there is a certain visual aesthetic that film communicates that you can't find anyplace else.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. I have two thoughts on this. So first, about the time thing, I actually think, or the money thing rather, I actually think it is cheaper and takes less time sometimes to shoot on film because the amount of time you spend has to be less because you only have limited material to work with.
That's true.
So then you end up being more efficient with your shots. That's my personal experience.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, the digital, you have to really know how to finesse everything out of that massive amount of data that you've collected.
But I think also filming digitally also allows for laziness. Now that's
true.
Because you just pointed out, and that's a really good thought, that using film, and Keith has experienced this too when he used to do a lot of film photography. It forces you to really think about what you're going to do.
Oh, 100%. And then to address the second thing with the lushness of film, I 100% agree. I think it's gorgeous. But I kind of am just a firm believer that, like, it really just depends on the story you're telling. And to say that film or digital are superior or worse or in any way to each other, I think is just ignoring the fact that each story has a different way it's going to be told that is going to be perfect for that story and that movie.
True. Absolutely.
So I totally am an advocate for both. And I think that, like, I think young filmmakers coming up who don't have the budget to shoot on film, their iPhone, if they can tell a good story with that iPhone, that's going to tell just as good of a story as whatever the big fancy camera is going to be, because ultimately digital cameras are just computers and so is your iPhone. But at the same time, I do love how film looks. I completely agree. Yeah. It's gorgeous and lush. And
obviously, it comes down to story. And, you know, one of the things that somebody in the industry said, it's story, 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 story. You know, that's
absolutely.
No matter how shoddy the filming is, it's about the story. You know, whether you're shooting on film or whether you're shooting digital, it's all about the story.
If the story isn't good,
obviously there are things that, you know, will influence that. But if you have a good story, it doesn't matter the medium that you tell the story in.
100%. I completely agree.
So, with all of this, what is the quick future? I mean, now obviously, this film X is going to be at the Another Hole in the Head Film Fest, and that is December 3rd at 9 p.m. at the New People Cinema in Japantown of San Francisco. What is going on after that?
So, I'm not exactly sure how or when, but in the very, very near future, X is going to be available to watch online.
Oh, cool.
And you're going to be able to find out all of the information about that on our website, everybodylovesx.com, and on all of our social media. And our handle's everybodylovesx on everything except Twitter, where it's let's have X. And we'll for sure keep everyone up to date about when it's going to be available online and where. And it's going to be very soon, but we just don't exactly have the details worked out yet.
Yeah, well, obviously, if you don't have the deal done, you can't tell anybody.
No, you can't say anything.
For sure.
And what about Scott J. Ramsey? If people want to follow you and what you're doing, do you have any social media presence?
Yes, I am Scott J. Ramsey on everything. And I'm also scottjramsey.com.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, this has been...
my Instagram is generally like how we get out news for both myself and for our Project X.
I think that's kind of like the new model now.
Instagram is the new thing now, so that's great.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, this has been a really fascinating discussion. Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I'm so excited to, as soon as the event I'm at is over, go into my hotel room and listen to the rest of your guys' podcast episodes, because the one I listened to was so good.
Great. Well, Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Eileen Beach, best known from the Exorcist, playing Captain Howdy. And you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
Well, that was a fascinating interview. And
yes, it was.
Film.
It was nice to talk to him.
Yeah, talk all aspects of filmmaking with him, especially about his film. And here's a few selected birthdays for November 18th through November 24th, 2019. November 18th, Alan Moore.
Crazy Uncle Alan.
There you go. Yeah. The photo that they have of him in the website.
Yeah, have you ever seen a sane photo of the man?
No. It's always like, oh, I'm low.
He always, I mean, there's a reason why we call him Crazy Uncle Alan. I mean, and it's not just because of his opinions, but because the man just looks like, he's he's escaped from an insane asylum.
Yep. Also on November 18th, Alan Shepard. He was the first American in space. Now, John Glenn was the first American to orbit the Earth, but Alan Shepard was the first American in space following Yuri Gagarin, into space. So
right.
He went up and came back down.
Yeah, and Alan went up in a Mercury capsule.
That is correct. And he also was the Apollo 14 mission commander. He was the oldest person at that time to walk on the moon at age 47.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's really awesome. He was one of the, the people that made the right stuff.
Exactly.
It's great that he finally had that opportunity to walk on another world.
Exactly. Also on November 18th, Emma Jean Coca, funny lady. She was did all kinds of different character actress.
She was of that group.
She was It's About Time, National Lampoon's Vacation.
She was part of that eclectic group that made up of Carl Reiner, Mel Brooks. I mean, there was a whole. It was like the six of them, and she was one of them. And she was the funny lady.
Yep. And also Stephen Moffat, the showrunner for Doctor Who, among other things. But that's the most, Sherlock as well.
Yeah, he helped create Sherlock with Mark Gatiss.
Yep. And then November 18th, Louis Daguerre, who was the inventor of the daguerreotype. It was a form of photograph, and it was one of the earliest types of permanent photographs, and very interesting before film really took off. I mean, it was one of those permanent things. It was on copper plates and all kinds of. If you find a daguerreotype, you should buy it, because no matter what it's of, because they're getting few and far between. Same thing with any glass plates that you might find. Buy them; they're worth something. Also, Karl Maria von Weber, a famous opera composer, he wrote Der Freischütz, which was an opera with mystical themes, including magical bullets.
Magical bullets.
It's a very odd opera story, but the music is wonderful. Also, Alan Dean Foster,
who's up in the Prescott area, if I'm not mistaken.
He's an sci-fi author. Oh, my gosh, he's consulted on all kinds of things, as well as
apparently
written things outright.
I just read. He helped. He wanted to novelize, or he was asked to novelize The Black Hole, Disney's The Black Hole, and he was really upset with the bad science.
Yeah.
So he made some suggestions, and apparently it horrified people.
Yeah, and then they brought in
oh my God,
Harlan Ellison,
who got fired the same day
before lunch was over.
Yeah, before lunch was over, Harlan got fired.
Also on November 18th.
Man, that's awesome. I wish I was there.
Yeah. Eugene Ormandy, famed conductor and a Facebook friend and your personal friend, Don Black.
Went to high school with him.
Yeah, and John Kittlesrud. November 19th, Indira Gandhi, who her father was, his birthday was
Mahatma
just
Gandhi.
last week. No.
Oh, not Mahatma Gandhi. No.
Nehru.
Nehru, that's right.
Mahatma Gandhi was her
son?
Her husband.
I can't remember now.
Yeah, anyway. Also, Jodie Foster, who actually started her career at age 3. Her mother was a film producer, and she was the little Coppertone girl in 1965 or something like that. And gone on to do some tremendous things.
Yes, she has. I mean, but she started to, I think, acting-wise, she really began to cut her teeth on a lot of Disney products. And then she broke out, and now she's an Academy Award-winning actress.
Yep. As well as director, producer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, really a great cause for female filmmakers.
Exactly. November 19th, also Adam Driver.
I've really grown to like this guy.
He can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars notwithstanding, that's not entirely his fault, but he can do comedy like
drama.
Nobody, and he can do some great drama.
Yep. And Ted Turner, who we wouldn't have the Turner Broadcasting Network.
TBS.
We wouldn't have the movie classics, Turner
That's
Classic
true.
Movies. And we wouldn't have colorized movies.
We don't need colorized
movies, but we wouldn't have them without him.
That's true.
Also, Larry King. I remember Larry King when he was a late night radio talk show host. In fact, he came on after Sally Jesse Raphael on the station that I listened to.
Well, yeah, his show became syndicated.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing it on the radio back in the 90s.
Yeah, well, this was, oh my gosh, this was the 70s.
Well, yeah.
I was listening to him.
But his stuff was still being syndicated radio-wise. Even into the 90s, because I would hear it then. And some consider him almost like to be the architect of how to do the classic interview.
Yeah.
He's an awesome interviewer.
Yep. Also, Calvin Klein, who made his appearance in Back to the Future.
That's right. At least his underwear did.
At least his underwear did.
And he looks like... And he looks just
Calvin Klein?
Yeah, he looks just like Michael J. Fox.
Exactly. And Kathleen Quinlan, who
we saw a few years ago.
Exactly, in Chimera.
Chimera, or what they call now, Chimera Project.
Yes. George Kalogridis, who was at one time the president of Disneyland and has moved on to other greener pastures outside of the company.
Yes, I had the chance to meet him a few years back.
Yeah, and he did a lot of good stuff at Disneyland. And a good friend of ours, Brigitte King, who we met
on a cruise.
She and her husband on a cruise to Alaska. And we keep threatening to do something together again.
My God, it's been
5 years ago.
I mean, pardon the
pun.
pun.
We still stay in touch with them.
Yeah, pardon the pun. We're like ships in the night.
Exactly.
But boy, did we have fun with them
on that
cruise.
Cruise. They were so much fun. And November 20th, Robert F. Kennedy, who was tragically killed in his run for presidency. And Bo Derek, who was in 10, as well as a number of other films.
Yeah, but that's probably the big one.
Thing. And Sean Young, who... Hello?
Blade Runner.
Yeah, as well as several other things.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I think, you mentioned Sean Young. I think everybody thinks Blade Runner. Yeah.
Exactly. And Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah. Shoot. The name just went right.
Mulan. She was Mulan.
She was also in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Exactly. And Joe Walsh.
Of the Eagles.
And the interesting thing is that he has lived the life of the song that he wrote. What was the song?
It was not Life in the Fast Lane.
No, not Life in the Fast Lane.
That's Hannah.
Life's Been Good to Me.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh, my God, he has lived that life.
He has lived that life.
It's like art imitating life.
Well, I watched a documentary on the Eagles a few years, more like a couple of years ago. They had it on Netflix. It's a fascinating documentary. And you see how Joe Walsh was during the Eagles' heyday, like around Hotel California period. And he's crazy, but he was coherent.
And then he went off the deep end.
And then he went way off the deep end. And now the man is just... he's still an amazing musician, a fabulous guitar player. But he can't talk.
Yeah.
The poor guy, he just can't speak anymore.
Yeah. Also on November 20th, Edwin Hubble.
I thought it was Hubble.
Well, maybe it's Hubble.
Well, if you're Asgardian, it's Hubble.
Is that Hubble?
Yeah, Hubble. Yeah.
the University of Southern North Dakota at Hubble.
I thought it was Whipple. Yeah, don't squeeze the telescope. Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Boy, did we go off the deep end now.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have some of the wonderful, fantastic things
the Hubble telescope was such a bust when it first went out there, and then they realized it was just the tiniest of flaws in the lens.
Oh, my gosh. But
then they corrected it.
The things that he discovered on his own.
Oh, yeah.
He discovered the Andromeda Nebula, and as well as Triangulum, among other things, redshift, and all kinds of other things. And then we have Roger Bumpus. Bumpuses! Actually, he is on SpongeBob. He's Squidward on SpongeBob. Oh. I just saw that, and I said, I have to put that on there just for that line. Just for
Roger says, think a Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, exactly. And then we have Jerry Colangelo, who was the owner of the Diamondbacks, owner of the Phoenix Suns, among other things. And I had a brush with greatness. He was standing in line in front of me at Starbucks.
Oh,
and
ditto.
I
was
you
there
were there
too.
And he left his phone on the counter. And I said, "Excuse me, you left your phone here." And he's, "Oh my gosh."
Well, but there was another time where he accidentally dropped something, and I was not paying attention. And I just saw something on the floor, and I went down to pick it up, and I looked up, and oh my God, you're tall.
He is. He's
and
taller than me.
And my brain froze. I thought, no, am I looking at the jolly green giant Jerry Colangelo?
Yes.
And he's not green, but my God, he's tall.
Yep.
And I was so intimidated.
Yep. And Chester Gould. You may not know who Chester Gould is.
I have no idea.
We wouldn't have the Apple Watch without him.
Oh, I thought he was related to Elliot Gould.
Nope. He was. He wrote and illustrated Dick Tracy.
Ah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have the Apple Watch without Chester Gould and Dick Tracy.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
Anyway. Also, good friend of ours, Chris Farlander. Happy birthday, Chris. And Eugene Glover. And Dr. Judith G. Wolf. Happy birthday, Dr. Judy.
Yes.
November 21st, Goldie Hawn, who has been in a number of things, and she has been with Kurt Russell since 1981.
Yeah. In fact, I remember.
Oh my gosh!
Last year we got to see Kurt Russell in a Netflix original where he played Santa Claus.
God.
And there was this big hype about, oh, you have to wait to the end to see the big surprise. And I'm like, yeah, I already know. I mean, it was so hard to figure out that Goldie Hawn was going to play Mrs. Claus.
Of course.
But it was awesome anyway.
Yeah.
Also, and her time on Laugh-In.
Oh my Lord!
Oh, I'm sure she was the fantasy of a lot of growing straight men.
Yes, and also on November 21st, Lorna Luft and Bjork.
Where's her dress?
Where's her dress? She will be forever, at least in my mind, remembered for that swan dress at the, what was it, the 86 or
I don't know. It was the Academy Awards. That's all I know.
Yeah, Academy Awards. And Marlo Thomas, who
I adore her.
Got her start as that girl, and she is actually also the wife of Phil Donahue. She gives a tremendous amount of money and does a lot of charity work for
St.
Jude's Children's Hospital, and also she is a diabetic. So she has lived for a long year, as was Mary Tyler Moore and a couple of other folks that in the entertainment industry. Let's see. Jamie Lee Curtis. No,
wait a minute.
Whoa. November 22nd, we have Scarlett Johansson.
Everybody's favorite Black Widow.
Yes. And Jamie Lee Curtis, who, wow. What can you say about Jamie Lee Curtis?
I really love her.
She is just an incredible actress. Incredible.
She, despite the fact that I did not care for the last Halloween movie, I thought she was amazing.
Yep. And Mark Ruffalo. The Hulk. And he's quite the outspoken activist for a number of things. So he's quite the activist. And Rodney Dangerfield, who had a rubber face and just crazy comedy.
My favorite movie of all time that he did, Back to School, which also has, by chance, Robert Downey Jr., but that movie is a scream.
Yep. And Billie Jean King, who was famed tennis pro, professional tennis player way back. And,
the big Battle of the Sexes.
Yep,
yeah, her and Bobby Riggs. Not Bobby Riggs. Was it Bobby Riggs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Robert Vaughn, who Man from U.N.C.L.E. And among other things.
So many things.
I really wish that they could have gotten Robert Vaughn
and David McCallum. Both to show up in that do a cameo.
At least to just be in that restaurant, sitting at a table.
Just observing. I know. It would have been hilarious.
It would have been. But unfortunately, I think Robert Vaughn was very ill because he died just after that film was released.
Oh, that might have been why. Because I can't imagine that they would not have reached out.
Yeah. That would have been just perfect for them to be sitting there.
What a lasting legacy, too.
Yeah. Anyway. Also, Richard Kind, who was in...
Well, obviously, first there was Mad About You.
Mad About You.
I mean, but then he's done voices.
And then he was in Frasier, I think.
He did something. I think he did something in Frasier.
All kinds of voices. Oh my gosh, just all over the place. And then we have Benjamin Britten.
Britten.
Who are the Britons?
Composers.
We are all Britons. Well, I didn't, and I'm your king.
Yeah, there we go again.
I didn't vote for you. You don't vote for kings.
Okay, we're stopping right there.
Yes. Benjamin Britten was a 20th century composer of several operas, among other wonderful pieces that he wrote. His operas are definitely 20th century, but some of the other pieces that he wrote were really great.
I kind of like Symphony, Young Person's Guide to a Symphony.
To the orchestra.
That's
yes. But most of the operas that he wrote featured a heavy tenor part, and that was basically written for his partner Peter Pears. Also on November 22nd.
Oh, speaking of Monty Python,
Terry Gilliam. And then we also have Geraldine Page, who was in Trip to Bountiful. She was in Night Gallery in the short segment, Deliveries in the Rear. She was the girlfriend of the surgeon, and then she wound up being delivered in the rear as a dead person.
Oh, God.
Anyway, but she was also a reference was made to her in The Birdcage. Geraldine Page will not do the dance of the red shoes.
Yes.
November 23rd, Chris Hardwick.
One of my heroes.
And Boris Karloff, who is most famous for his narration of How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Well,
currently in the 60s, anyway.
The 60s, yeah, but I think really, he had a distinctive voice.
He was the monster.
He was Frankenstein's
monster.
And he did
the Monster Mash. Anyway, he was the Frankenstein's monster,
and he also,
among other things,
he played Imhotep in the original Mummy.
And he do a stint as Wolfman too, as well.
I thought he might have, but I don't think so. That was more Lon Chaney.
Yeah,
and Lon Chaney Jr.
And also Harpo Marx,
probably my favorite of the Marx Brothers.
Yep. And Bruce Valanche.
Oh my God!
Oh my gosh!
What timing? Because
what to say about her?
Yeah, this is as of the time we're recording this is the anniversary of the airing of the Star Wars Holiday Special that Miss Valanche definitely had a hand in.
Yes, he was actually a comedy writer, mostly for variety shows, among other things, but that's his big claim to fame, is putting together variety shows, and the Paul Lynde Holiday Special and a couple of other things. So also on November 23rd, Michael Goff, who played, my gosh, where do you start?
What a career! I mean, I actually saw some bits of him, some found footage of him as the Celestial Toymaker from Doctor Who.
Wow!
I was able to actually find it exists on YouTube.
Wow, that's incredible. And also we have a friend of ours from Arizona Opera, Kyle Homewood, and a friend who went to high school with, who we're still in contact with, Devette C. Happy birthday, Devette. And Nobilis Reed. November 24th, Billy Connolly. Famed Scottish
comedian.
Oh my gosh.
I love him. My first introduction to him, shoot, I wish I could remember the name. It was an 80s sitcom where he was the teacher for this group of gifted students.
Oh, interesting.
He took over for
from Cotter?
No, it was not Welcome Back Cotton. No, he was not. No, not Sweat Hogs. No. I'm kind of going blank now. And I'm really ashamed of this. But the actor who played Johnny Fever from WKRP in Cincinnati took on a starring role in this one sitcom. And he was there for a couple of years, and then Billy Connolly took over.
Oh,
and it was fantastic. And to watch him and Craig Ferguson talk together,
oh my gosh,
is a joy. I mean,
I can't understand a word.
No, because Craig's Scottish accent has kind of diluted a little bit.
But you get him together with another Scot,
right?
Oh my lord!
And all of a sudden now it's just this broken gibberish, and it's like, I don't understand a word you're saying, but damn, is it entertaining?
Exactly. Also, Denise Crosby, most famed for
Tasha Yar.
Tasha Yar, and Scott Joplin, who is the king of ragtime. Wow, what some incredible music that he wrote. And Junipero Serra, who was the Franciscan priest who went all the way up the coast of California, establishing missions all up across California down into Mexico. And Facebook friend Jason Palmer, Sarah Maria Rainier, and your sister, Noelle Hughes.
Yep, happy birthday, Noelle.
And one of my favorite people that I ever had to work with, B. Green. Happy birthday, B. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Technorama, the podcast for geeks, because geeks are better than cool. You don't hear someone say, "Get away from me, you cool person." Who's gonna have their 65-inch home theater system installed by the Cool Squad? Not me, that's for sure. How much cool cred do you have? Not enough to care about. Think you'll find any canned unicorn meat at thinkcool.com? It's just a part domain name. They don't even have roadkill in a paper cup. That's why you need to start listening to Technorama, because that's what geeks do. Go to chuckchat.com and listen to Technorama before you turn cool.
Go give a listen to our friends Chuck and Craig over at Technorama. And now, here we go.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
Okay, now I had 3 sizable bits of feedback for this, and oddly enough, I'm now only going to do one. And there's a reason. I'm cutting the other 2 out. We're going to save them for another episode because there's something that we want to talk about a little bit later, and I don't want us to be rushed.
Yep.
So, but I will just give you this one, and this is regarding the Morbido Film Festival will host the world premiere of supernatural short film Black Moon. And we got a comment from Chick Art Public Relations, because I believe they're the ones who notified us this.
Yes.
She said, "Thank you, TG Geeks, for the great article about Ryan Graff's Black Moon short at Morbido Film Fest." Well, we're happy we could do that.
Yeah.
That's our feedback, and again, you will understand why, because we want to talk about something special in a bit.
You can leave your comments on our Facebook page or on Twitter or Instagram or directly on tggeeks.com, whether it's on an article or it's on an episode itself. You can do all of that, and we will talk about you online. Well, we'll give your comment online. And then you can also leave us a voicemail feedback. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 and leave us a voicemail, and we'll play that on air. But always remember, when leaving feedback, please play nice. Well, we've got some interesting things coming up. We're kind of booked out almost till the end of the year. In episode 250, I'll just give you a hint. We're going to have Jeannie Koch.
That's a hint.
A special guest because she actually was the very first interview we did, and that date coincides almost 5 years to the date when we interviewed her for the first time. So check out episode 250. But we've got some interesting things in 249.
Yeah, we do. But I also want to say that our follow-up episodes where we interview Jeannie, especially in studio, were highly entertaining.
Yep.
And we hope to do that again in the future.
Yep. And we want everybody to know, as you have already figured out, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. Please, if you see them at a book fair or at a con or someplace, buy their stuff, talk to them, chat with them, tell other people about their stuff, show other people the stuff that you bought, and support them. Please consider supporting independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV/AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. They set up a food bank just like a store so the clients can come in and pick the food that they want. That way it empowers them and they don't waste any food. They don't get just a box of stuff. They get what they want to have to eat. They are a all-volunteer organization, so please support Joshua Tree. You can do that by a monthly recurring gift or a singular gift. Go to jtfp.org. Wrong. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
Well, I got to cover this quickly, but we had an amazing event that we got to attend to last night. We've been hyping it for some weeks now.
Yeah. We talked about we've hyped the Red Dress Ball that was put on by the Grand Canyon Sisters of Perpetual Indifference or Indulgence. That is.
Yes, not indifference. There's a joke behind that. I was trying to tag a photo that we were in, do it on Instagram, and you got to love autocorrect because as I was mentioning the Grand Canyon chapter in Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, it wanted to write indifference instead. So there's the indifferent joke.
Yeah,
there you are.
So the Red Dress Ball was actually in support of Joshua Tree Feeding Program that we just talked about, as well as AIDS Walk Arizona and Aunt Rita's Foundation. They're all AIDS organizations and HIV-positive organizations supporting HIV-positive people in Maricopa County and Arizona. And it was, wow. You talk about Red Dress Ball.
Wow.
Yes, there were so many red dresses.
Lots of red dresses.
It was unbelievable.
We were the only ones not in a red dress.
No,
well, Brendan and Gordon were there. They enjoyed it. But we were among the few that were not, although we were beautifully dressed with red bling.
We had our tuxedos. We had red bow ties and red cummerbunds and red studs and red cufflinks and red socks.
And the cufflinks and the tuxedo studs were really blingy.
Yeah. And a red pocket square. So we were very fashionable.
Yes, we were.
I thought we looked quite good, as a matter of fact.
Towards the end of the evening, somebody walked up and says, "You two guys look so amazing. I have to photograph you."
Yeah.
So he did.
But it was great. I don't know what they raised this year, but
it was a good event, I think.
Their goal was to raise $10,000 this year. Last year, they raised $4,000, but this year they sought sponsors, and they went all out. They had people that sponsored the beverages, so that meant, the cups and the mixers and all of the other stuff. So it held the price of beverages down to $5, and any soft drinks and water were free.
Yeah.
And we were a sponsor. We gave a significant amount of money. We got recognition in the program, but that also helped them with the rent of the Parsons Center and a number of other things. We also gave $500 worth of signed books as part of the
signed
silent
books, as well as
books.
an autographed copy of the movie Analysis Paralysis.
Right, and a number of other things, graphic novels, and that all kind of came up to about $500, and we actually won that. We
Imagine that.
We gave. I wonder if I can parlay that twice, or do that twice as I gave it a gift of $500, and then I bought it for $225. And take that off of my taxes.
Good luck.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to find out about that. If anybody knows, let me know.
But it was a great event. And
It was
I was very
yeah.
happy with the turnout.
It was a huge turnout. Lots of people in the community came out. Lots of people really dressed up and having a good time. And they had food and just, oh my gosh, entertainment. And wow, if you hear about it, we'll probably be sponsors again next year. So if you have the opportunity, you're in Phoenix, Arizona, and you hear about the Red Dress Ball, please try to attend, because it does go to sponsor several good organizations. So that's it for the Red Dress Ball, I think, huh?
Yeah. Well, I got to fly through this fast. So this is our weekly review, everything that we published on our website at tggeeks.com, and we will have the links for each one of these articles in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, November 10th, Dr. Zombie, Monster Family Physician number 74. Then we have on Monday the 11th, TG Geeks episode number 247. On Tuesday the 12th, Ben's Gay Breakdown, Arizona Opera takes a heartbreaking look at a history with fellow travelers. I'm very particularly proud of this review. People, shameless plug, I really want people to read this review.
Yeah,
I'm enormously
review.
proud of it, and I'm very proud of the opera, even though we didn't have anything to do with it personally. Then on Wednesday the 13th, we have an article from Jeannie Koch talking about my generation. And then on Thursday the 14th, Ben's Breakdown. It's all in The Report. This is the new movie starring Adam Driver and Annette Bening. Then on Friday the 15th, 5 Questions with Sidney Wood. This is from Hamish Downey. He kind of took a week off from his new sushi. Also, Andrea's Angle, Frozen 2, continues journey with beautiful songs. And then on Saturday, the 16th, Survive the Holidays with Krampus and Creepshow apparel, available at Fright Rags.
And there you go. And you can find all these things at tggeeks.com, as well as entries on our Facebook page where everything is posted.
Need to give a couple of shout-outs at some places that republish our content from time to time. First, there is the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News. We must give thanks to the human Arkle, who puts that out. You can find him on Twitter by searching Arkle, at ARKLE. And he also has on YouTube the Shameless Cash Grab. He just wrapped up season 3. But if you want to see all of that, and he's wrapped up 20 movies, you can go to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. And of course, that's all one word. And we must give some shout outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episode and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours. We asked, can we share? And they said, yes, please share away. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. Again, all one word. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share all of our lovely stuff on their page. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And by the way, if you are trying to listen to our show from the website, as you know, it stops playing if you go to another tab. But you can do that on YouTube, and it'll continue playing, so you can listen to it. So YouTube is a great option for lots of folks. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We'll have several links on the page, and remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and others. Peace.
Cheers.